All right, back here on Titans Talk. Our phone lines are open. We do have some open lines if you want to get in. 737-7767, the number. Chris has been waiting for a while, though. Chris, thanks for doing that. You're next up here on Titans Talk. Hey, Chris, you there?
I'm here.
All right, Chris, go ahead. You're on the air.
Thanks for taking my call. Hey, I remember, since it looks like our O-line is going to be so terrible this year, I remember when the '85 Bears were playing, and they only lost one game that year, and they lost it to Miami. And the way Miami beat the Bears was every time that ball was snapped, it was passed for 5 and 10 yards, like within 2 seconds. They never gave the defenders a chance to get behind the line because they were passing it immediately and fast, and that was the only way they beat the Bears that year. And I think we're going to have to do something along those lines. That ball's got to get out there very fast so we don't have to worry about the O-line falling apart. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I am all for anything, Chris. Moves the ball quickly, and I want to see it on first down. I said this a couple of weeks ago. I think the best game the Titans have had this year offensively, probably not a shock to a lot of people, the game they won in Atlanta. And I think a big reason for that is they threw a lot on first down. First down passes, so the defense is stacking the box to try and stop the run, and you throw when they're expecting run. And then you maybe only gain 6 or 7 yards on the play, but now all of a sudden it's second and short, and the entire playbook's there at your disposal. I think the first half in Atlanta, to me, is the blueprint. Throw on the early downs, try and pick up small pieces of yards. As you get ahead on the sticks, that's when you can take your shots. That's when you can pound away with Derrick Henry. That, to me, is the recipe for this offense. Now, whether the offensive line will block long enough for any of that to work is a huge question, but that, to me, is the recipe for this team. All right, look at line 6. Say what's up to Dennis. Dennis, how are you?
Oh, doing good. All right, I'd like to say so. I'll say it quick. The Titans this year, they look like a team that's trying to find new ways to lose every game. Every game, it's something different. Who's the leader on these teams? You know, it ain't the coach. It's not the coach. It's not the plays that are being called. They do not have a leader on that team. The reason that it's successful before was when they had George and McNair. You know, they would kick them in their butt and say, let's go out there and play ball. Take pride in losing. If you're going to lose with pride. Leave it all on the field. These guys look like they come out there, they don't want to get hurt. They want to make it to the next paycheck and to the next season. They need to start. If they put some of these kids' jobs on the line and go ahead and let them know next year we're going to be drafting for this position and that position, watch the positions that they draft for, watch them get a lot better. Who's the leader on that team?
I think it's a very, very fair question, Dennis, and thanks for the call. Here's the thing. On offense, it's hard to find. Defense, you look over there, there's a bunch of guys. Jarrell Casey, Cam Wake, Wesley Woodyard, even the young guys, Rashawn Evans, Jayon Brown, everybody in the secondary, those guys are leaders, and it shows. When you look at the offensive side of the ball, I don't know. We asked Mike Vrabel that today, and he said, well, Delaney's a leader. Dion Lewis, Ben Jones. I mean, think about that. I don't think Ben Jones has played particularly well. Dion Lewis is sort of getting phased out of playing with this offense right now because of their struggles. Just his packages aren't on the field. When you're singling him out as a leader, I think that's a real question about everybody else in the room. And we asked Delaney Walker about that and said, where's the leadership come from? And he sort of said, my leadership is I just go do my job. I try to make plays, lead by example. I'm not a big rah-rah guy. And I followed that up and said, Delaney, do you think the other guys in this room around you on offense will be accountable to themselves in the same way? And he said, I don't know. That, to me, is a very telling thing about where the Titans' offense is right now. Hello, Todd. What's going on tonight?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Good. What do you got for us? You're on the air.
For one, I question about the quarterback situation. How you go trade for Ryan Tannehill and not help that offensive line?
Well, they thought they did help the offensive line. With Saffold and drafting Nate Davis, they thought they were making huge upgrades on the offensive line. It just hasn't panned out.
The game in Atlanta, that was a perfect game to me. about Mariota. I'm a huge Oregon fan, and for Tennessee to get Mariota, that was a big move. But like now, it seems like there's it's like each year, like they're trying to get better. It's like at the end they can't find their way.
I think that's 100% fair, Todd. This team has been trying to get over the hump. Again, use their own slogan against them. They're talking about going good to great. It's been 9 wins in 3 straight seasons. They considered that good, got to the playoffs once. They were talking about how do we get to that next step. And right now, they look like they're going the wrong direction if they're trying to get there. Hey, Martin, what's going on? You're on Titans Talk.
Not a whole lot this evening, my friend. Just want to make a couple of comments right quick. First of all, I think you're standing on the base, and you made the best comment of the evening already. Games are won in the trenches, my friend. That's an old saying from an old famous coach. And it does hold true, brother. There's no way around it. I don't care how good your running backs are or how good the quarterback is. If you can't win in the trench, you're not going to win many ball games. The other thing is, I don't know if Tennessee is at the point. I know Tannehill's not the answer. He's a quick replacement. Then you have to come to the point at the mid part of the year. What are you going to do about the first draft of next year? Are you going to give up anything to try to get one of the better quarterbacks that's coming out of college and restart the whole process over again that you're just trying to complete? And, with Luan, I don't know about him. It's kind of iffy about it. I don't think his mind his headset is right. Mindset. Perhaps in a few games he can get back in the caliber of player that we've all become to know him as. But, at this point right now, the Titans are just they're fading quicker than they should be. I mean, I figured in 8 games, I figured at least be 500 or a little bit better. But, they're not going to get near that. I don't blame my friend.
All right. Well, thanks for the call. I think interesting stuff there. If you're a Titans fan or if you're John Robinson, you better hope Taylor Lewan figures it out. And I think you expect he will. He's a 3-time Pro Bowl left tackle. But you've paid him a lot of money, and you're invested in him long term. And that's the concern about Roger Saffold right next to him as well, because you're invested in him long term. The question about the quarterbacks is much more difficult, obviously. If I had to guess, I think the decision will be to go with Tannehill this weekend and moving forward, at least for a while. Maybe you see Mariota again before the year's over, but I think you go with Tannehill. And unless he lights the world on fire, neither of those guys are going to be back next year. And yeah, you go into the draft looking for a quarterback again. You play this whole game all over again, as they did with VY, as they did with Jake Locker, and as they did with Marcus. You're going to play that game all over again trying to find your franchise guy. And I think that's where this is headed the way it is right now, barring some complete turnaround from either Tannehill or Mariota in the second half of the season. Speaking of a Marcus, I assume this isn't Mariota, but let's go to Marcus. Marcus, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
Good.
Love your sports game at Channel 5. I'm going to say something a little controversial. First of all, I like Mariota. I think, like everything, the kudos you bestowed upon him for the last 2 callers is right. I think he comes across as very humble, not full of himself. I just think it may be a wrong match at this time and presence with the Titans organization. But I'm going to throw this out there. Is it a chance that a Colin Kaepernick could make a change for the Titans and turn his team around? And is that even an option? And the teams pretty much have compiled together as owners and have decided that he's a blacklisted player, no pun intended. And the third point I want to make is that I don't like us when we play in the light-colored sky blue uniforms. I think we're more dominant when we play in the dark jerseys. I think we look better, and we come across quite weak in sky blue, and I think that's the reason police officers wear dark blue to show enforcement and and toughness versus wearing a sky blue uniform, and I'll listen for your response. Have a good night.
All right, even fashion critique from Marcus there. Frankly, the light blue tops would be darker than anything they've worn this year because it's been all white for the entire season in terms of the top uniforms for this team. So I don't know. I don't know if there's any real value to the jersey color or not. I will say this about Kaepernick. There's been a lot of talk about how the NFL feels about him. My thing is, if somebody truly thought he could have helped their team as a starting quarterback, someone would have hired him. Someone would have signed him. There was not collusion to that level to keep him out of the league. I think what you saw was a bunch of teams and owners who looked at him. And remember, the 49ers were willing to keep him, just not at the salary that Kaepernick wanted. So I think he overvalued who he was at that point of his career as well. And as you looked at other teams, nobody needed a starter or wanted him as their starter. And I think he was unwilling to really go to a backup role. And maybe more so than that, teams looked at him and said, for a backup quarterback, we can't take on that headache. And that's why they stayed away from him. And now you're talking about a guy who hasn't played in 3 years. And so at this point, I think everybody's going to stay away from him because who knows what you'd get. The Titans aren't going to mess with the quarterback. They have 2 on their team. They're going to figure this out, hope that something turns around this season, and if it doesn't, then they move on and try to figure out who the next franchise guy is in the offseason. We got to take another break. We will come back. More of your phone calls right after this.